I never had so much problems as I did with this.
What kind of are you using a mobile phone?
Yeah,
That's probably why.
just I
Yeah. If you had a laptop or a
could use.
desktop, you wouldn't have this problem.
Let's see. Do I have Zoom on my computer? Let me look.
Oh, it's free. You should be able to get it.
Yeah, I have an Apple computer too.
Yeah,
Hang on, my mom's having. I
yeah,
have to take care of my mom. Right.
yeah, but it might be worth
Okay.
it might be worth using a desktop or laptop. They Zoom works best on those devices
Awesome. Okay.
rather than a mobile phone. Yeah.
Okay. Let me
Yeah.
sign in real quick.
Zoom doesn't work too well on mobile phones.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, it's probably why you're having all these problems with it. Because yeah, yeah, it's just a matter of getting everything set up just right.
Yeah.
In fact, you can have both of them running at the same time. You can keep your mobile hooked up and linked right now, and then you can use any other device on the side as well and edit. And you can come at this two different ways on two different devices. You can be on a
Hmm.
laptop, you can be on a mobile phone, and even a third way if you have another computer. So there's many different.
I.
Yeah,
Oh, I was just saying that. I'm just trying to sign in here.
yeah.
This stuff. I don't see a Zoom app on here. I'm gonna download one real quick.
Yeah, you probably have to get the program on added onto it. Yeah, just
Here,
go.
let me check on
Yeah,
my
just go to
mom.
the Zoom. Go to the
Is
Zoom. Huh?
Leonard gonna be joining us?
He's
Okay.
well. We just had a recording, and I could send that to you. And you could check that out.
Mm-hmm.
But this
Oh,
was
sorry.
this was going to be for there's this other organization uh, around these circles, that are meeting in various ways. In other words, this is really expanding this thing about non-duality. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it really is. I mean, we're not even having to try
um,
to make it expand. Facebook's doing it for everybody. So
hmm.
yeah, sooner or later you were going to come across it anyway. So uh,
That's the way it's. I don't know.
and, well, let me
Hey,
put it.
it's very. What do I know anymore at
Well,
this
no, it's
point?
okay. Okay, I'll put it to you this way, William. It's the next wave, the same way it was before the internet during that the
Hmm.
so-called New Age. That New Age movement.
Right. Right.
It's like that,
Hmm.
but it's a different type of wave now. Instead of with UFOs and like those groups like
I watched that.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was saying that I watched that
Yeah.
Apple ID required. Shit. I don't. I hate
Oh,
that.
well,
But
it has an Apple ID.
huh?
Well, yeah, you got to get the Apple ID. Yeah.
I know. Let me see. Open passwords. I like saying that to my phone. Open sesame.
I love your sense of humor, William. I really do. It's like mine a bit. I'm kind of on your wavelength somehow. I don't know how, but yeah.
Cool, huh?
Yeah. In other
No,
words,
now Siri doesn't want to
I
work.
appreciate, I appreciate
Huh?
personality. I really do appreciate it. Really do. You can't
Yeah,
take you can't take this
hmm?
stuff too
Go ahead.
serious. You know what I mean? You just can't take it serious, man. You cannot.
Oh, I felt
Oh,
a little broken for a few minutes when I realized that
oh,
this about the seeker and the
yeah,
knower, and it's like
yeah.
I don't need to, and I kind of thought of this little thing like
Uh,
somehow this little game happened. It's like
yeah.
I'll be hide and you be seek. Okay, well you go look and I'll hide, and it's like here's seeker looking and looking, and it's
Yeah,
like hide is right under his fucking nose the whole time.
yeah. Well, not only that, there is no seeker and there is no person hiding. You drop
Yeah,
both of them. What are you left
right,
with? Nothing. You
right.
might as well
I
start at nothing,
know.
man.
I know. It's too much.
I tell you, that's the
you
best.
know, I mean,
The best place to start, William,
and it
is nowhere,
and it really was a sense of,
everywhere.
and it's like, part of me wanted to argue. There was an argument,
But
but
that's the
there's
conjured
there's
self.
such a
That's
truth
yeah,
to it.
yeah.
But there's such a truth to it that it's just like, you hear all these other things, but there's that other side that goes, you can't deny this though. I mean,
Oh
there's the
no.
reality there that
Oh
just
yeah.
it just sits there, and it's like you just.
It's the ultimate reality of all realities, is what it is. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But you see, if you're like, again, if the you that believes that I know it's going to sound weird and funny, but
Oh.
this is the best way to be honest with you about it. Uh, the you that
Hang on a second.
self-identifies with a me that has called itself that name that's on your birth
Mm-hmm.
certificate, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's what's preventing you from noticing and recognizing this message. But in time, in more repetition, if you stick with us in this room, man, I'm telling you, it's going to fall away. It's going to collapse. And guess what? William Lockwood's going to actually die. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Now, if
And
you
you
want
know
to be
what
serious with you, I'm being honest with you right now. I really am.
Yeah, I hear you. And
Yeah.
and I thought, it's kind of a good thing to die before you
Before you,
die, because
well, the death.
you know what I mean.
Yeah, but
The
the connotation about death,
mhm.
spiritual teachings and things like that, they say that we're really not our bodies. There's the astral body, and it lives on after the physical body dies, right? Well, there's a lot of
Yeah.
truth. There's a lot of truth in that. It's just that the
Mhm.
non-duality message says it a bit more direct and plainly, and because you see that person that thinks it needs to know about it, it needs to get
Right.
it. And
Nowhere.
yeah, did you get to see that video I sent you, that funny one?
Oh yeah, yeah. And then I watched a few more, so
Good,
just
good,
to
good,
sink it
good.
in.
Now, that's my favorite, that one with Jim Newman and that guy from New Realities.
Right, because he really expressed the guy really expressed the
He was honest.
the
He was
the
trying to get it,
knower,
but I'm not getting
yeah.
it. Do I get it? And then Jim Newman simply telling him something. But I would tell you, there's nothing to get.
Yeah,
There isn't anything to get.
right. And that's and it's like
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
all that energy you went looking for
yeah,
that secret or that
yeah,
hidden truth that
yeah,
nobody knows, and
yeah.
it's like all of a sudden it's like, well, I don't need to do that no more.
That's right.
It's
And in
sort of
fact,
weird.
yeah, no, I know it's weird. The reason why it's weird, because I call it the conjured self, or the me, or
Mhm.
the I, or the identification with oneself. You see,
Right.
that's all conjured. It's subjective. It's only in the mind of a mind that is believed to be one's own mind. I know it sounds so weird at first, but this will make sense. It's not making sense
Mhm.
now. You know why? Because you're trying to get it. That's why. You're trying to get this.
Right.
This is not anything to get,
Mhm.
because it's not necessary to get. You're already awake to being awake. You're already aware to being aware. This is always available. It's the availability about everything. Always, always, absolutely everything is always available. Except the
I
availability.
am just.
The
I'm
availability has been
sorry.
hijacked. The availability has been hijacked. And guess what hijacks it, gets in the way? The me, the I,
Well.
self me, the
Mhm.
I, the self identification that says I'm living my life, and there's everybody else out there in the world. These are all ideas, these are all concepts, these are all beliefs. It's just thought to be so, but it really isn't just that way. It's not so. It really isn't. It's also not so. So it's not really that. It never was that. It never was this, that, or the other. That's what duality is. See, non duality does not tell you specifics. Duality does, because duality
Hmm.
is learned, then it's
Right.
practiced, right? It's learned, then it's practiced, and then it's believed. So you don't have to even have faith. I know that sounds heresy again. Yeah, off with his head. He said, you know, it, but
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
this is what I'm trying to be honest with you. I'm trying to figure out a way to get past the William that believes he's living his own life. I'm trying to get past it. I'm trying to throw it over William's head. This message.
Right.
I'm
Right.
trying to throw it over your head. So try not to let William catch it. Because if William does, he's going to try to figure this out. William's going to try to say, well, wait a
Right.
minute, there must be something to this. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The knower, he always wants to know,
That's
for
right,
sure.
knower. And in fact, there is no separate knower. You are the knowing. That's what we are. We're actually the knowings, and that never falters. That never goes away. It's always there. That's that still small voice that the religious people talk about. And the still small voice within.
hmm
Yeah, no,
I'm
serious.
sorry, I'm saying
No, for
two
real.
different things.
The kingdom of God is within. You ever heard of that?
Right. Yeah, I
That's
used to have
it.
a pillow on my bed.
Yeah,
My mother put it on, and
yeah,
it used to really bother me as a child. So I'd sit there and I was like, how can a whole world be in me? I
yeah.
didn't.
No, but you
And
are
later
it.
on, I was like, and then I'd
Well,
look back and I
yeah,
thought later on,
yeah.
it's like, I had different interpretations of
Well,
it,
yeah,
but
yeah. Of course,
yeah,
you try to figure it out, just like I did. Look,
right.
when I say I, this is the I that was trying to
hmm
seek and look into it, just like you're looking into it right now. And it's going to be
Right.
so. It's going to be so cool when it happens to you. And when I say it happens to you, the you that you've been self-identifying with all your life
mm
of a life that you think you've been living on your own, but you're not. There's just life. There's just life that's lived through us. It's just like the spirit. It's like the religious people that talk about the Holy Spirit. It's like that.
hmm
You are that.
hmm
You are that Holy Spirit. The kingdom is within, and
Right. And
and you're
is that how, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
I have to, I know that I tell
uh,
myself, well, this is just the knower wanting to know because he wants to identify
yeah.
something, but I
It'll
still
keep
feel the
getting
need to ask.
it'll keep trying to get in the way, which is why I try not to be silent for too long, because I know if I do, it's going to use the silence. Really, it's going to
mm,
use the seriously.
it
It's going to use the
fills
silence,
it, huh?
and it's going to try to say, "Wait, I know what this is." No, you don't. And so I have
Right,
to keep knocking
right,
it down,
right.
keep knocking it down, keep knocking it down until
Mm,
until the you can call it even a true self. There is a higher self, true self that they talk about in New Age circles. And they talk
so
about
there is somewhere in all of it, there is, see, that's kind of how, I guess that's the knower wanting to know because it's like, well, there's got to be something because, I mean, somewhere, I mean, I might know it, not know it, and,
you don't have
but
to know
there
it.
has to be,
No,
right.
you don't have to.
Yeah,
You
but
don't
there
have to
has
know
to be,
just
just like,
because you
my
yeah
brain wandered.
yeah.
I'm sorry,
No,
I'm
no, go ahead.
interrupting,
I'm listening. Go ahead.
but my brain wandered when I was listening,
Yes,
to Jim. Is that his name? I already
Jim
forgot
Newman.
his name.
Jim Newman. Yes, Jim
Okay,
Newman.
yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
I told myself I'm gonna remember his name. I
Did you
remember
know
his
that?
face, and I remember
Did you know that guy Jim Newman was born in Georgia?
no, no,
Yeah,
I
he was,
didn't.
and this guy he speaks fluent German. I when I
I
first
was
heard him,
surprised at that.
yeah, me
Yeah.
too. When I first heard him speaking, and I caught him a long time ago because there's a lot of these non-duality speakers out there, a lot of neo-Vitins. They're going off in all
Mm,
kinds of ways and different places, and that's fine. I mean, that's the way it is. That's just what's arising. That's just what seems to be happening. But Jim Newman,
yeah.
when he started speaking German, I thought he was from Germany. I thought he was from from over here.
Yeah, when he asked somebody, I was watching some video. He goes, anybody speak German? And then they said yes, and then he goes blah blah blah, and he goes, I can't remember what exactly the word he used, but I was like, and I thought, well, maybe he was German speaking English. So that's
So you
interesting
see,
that he used it. Huh?
yeah. So you see what you're doing right now, William. You're looking
Mm,
through William's eyes right now. And then you see
mm,
this guy as I was looking at this before as well. I was looking through
mm,
Richard's eyes, thinking Richard's going to get this message. I'm going to get this. I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to find out more about this, and I'm going to get it. But you know what? Richard never got it because Richard didn't have to get it. In fact, Richard was getting in the way because he wanted
mm,
to know it. See, and so that's how the me dies. The way it works is it falls away, it collapses, and then there is just the witnessing, and you're just seeing, and then there's just hearing. You hear this voice, and hear your voice, and they're just voices, right? Well, these are
right.
transmissions. These are transmissions, and getting back to what you're familiar with, resonance. Let's look at it from the
Mm-hmm.
resonance side. Let's look at it from the energetic sine waves and the frequencies of resonance. We can use that language of science, to
Mm-hmm.
share this message with you. And then when I share this message with you enough, and then it'll begin to unravel. Now, what this means unraveling, the self-conjured counter self is always self-identifying with what it knows and what it thinks it needs to know and what it thinks it needs to do for its own life. There's just life, but it doesn't recognize that. It only recognizes its own life. See? And then the mental thought system sets in and says, well, I'm going to feed you some more information so that you can continue to live your own life. So it self-identifies with you. It's like a parasitic movement in the brain and the mind of the body mind that is believed to be your own mind. See, I know it sounds so freaking weird right now, but it'll stabilize. It'll kind of smooth out. It'll smooth out. But what's kind of helpful is that you've been seeking for a long time, and you're very familiar with all these books and things, and you know, you're really looking into it because you're seeking. You're trying to find the answer. You really want to know what is the meaning of life. You know, why are we all here? What is this all about?
You know,
You know,
the only question I really would like to know, and I've been listening, is, you know, well, I haven't listened long. I mean, he just gave me that link to Jim, but
yeah, it takes time. It takes time to absorb it.
But anyways, I haven't heard anybody ask. You know, it's like, how are we connected? You know, it's like they say that we're veiled and we don't know we're connected, right? So then. And then it's like, is that just me trying to nail something down? And I told myself, yeah, you know, we're talking about this to ourselves. Anyway.
Right now, by the way, I just want to let you know, William, your little phone symbol is appearing, but not your video.
Oh, okay. I don't know how this works. I'm really.
If you highlight the bottom,
is it FaceTime? Are we using FaceTime?
If you highlight the bottom toolbar, it gives you options of what to do with the appearance of the Zoom. Do you see a toolbar down there when you take the cursor, or you just go down to the bottom? Or
I couldn't get it on my computer.
Oh man, that's the best place to use it, really.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and I'll try and figure it out again.
Yeah,
I couldn't.
If I could only walk you through that, it's really. Quite,
I know. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's just.
Let's see
it's so frustrating because, you know, I can see your.
I don't know what's going on.
I could see the symbol of the phone, but can you get it to work like you did last time?
I'm gonna try. It was saying that the. Okay, let's see. Last time it didn't have the number. Maybe it'll work this time. I had to dial it in. It says, please enter your meeting passcode.
That's the
now
one.
Now that's 262620, right?
That's it. Yeah, try that. Yeah.
Okay. That's what I did last time.
Well.
And it didn't go through. It said, okay, continue.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It did not go through last time because I was using a different prompt. See, it depends on which prompt that I send out. Yeah. Oh, we got a third one. Or is that
there you go. Okay. Oh, now I got the phone.
Yeah.
You still there, right?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Let's see what I need to do is get the preference. Hold on. Let me see. Multiple participants. Here it goes. Here it goes. I need to select this. Let's see.
Yeah, see my computer. I don't have a
multiple
Zoom app.
Share.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. Now it says there's 3 of us in here.
Oh, there is.
Yeah, it says that because you're.
Oh, it's me.
Yeah.
I'm in here twice. Oh, do I need to hang? Wait.
It's just. It might be another window.
Is it making an echo or anything?
I could actually send send invites from here, but nah, I'll just let it go. You know, once I send an invite, you know, on Facebook and all that, I just let it go. I don't, you know, whoever wants to pick it up, they do. If they figure it out, they do. If they can't, well, maybe next time around. So the way I see it is, the way I see it is like this: opportunities are always going to arise. They're going to happen anyway. Yeah, they're going to happen. And it's not even destiny. It's not fate. It's not destiny. It's none of those things. We make those up. We conjure these ideas that we figured out how time works and stretched out. And you got past, you got the future, and all that sort of thing. But that's just giving everything a noun. That's giving everything a label. It's giving everything as though it's exclusive and it's something that I can call something an object that stands alone. It's separate, but there is no separation. See, that's the thing. But in time, it takes time to recognize that we're not these bodies, but not only that, we're also not the idea of these bodies. What that means is the idea of the subject of the body, and we're looked upon as a subject when we look at and we gaze upon that document, that birth certificate. We think that's our certificate of authenticity. That's what we think it is. But you see, it's not even required to simply exist and be. Even if you did not have a birth certificate, you would still simply feel the same way. You still have feelings, you know. You still, you
Yeah.
still have the same sensations. But the difference is, if you still think they're personal, and if you take things personally, take everything that you hear personal and turn it into a subject and say, well, now I'm going to talk about it for myself. See, when it goes back, it points. It's always pointing to itself. It doesn't know how to point to everywhere yet. It hasn't ever. It hasn't encountered that. It only recognized it in its innocence when it was playing with its toys and it was being left alone and it was just enjoying playing toys. That was it. You didn't have to go to your mom and say, "Mom, uh, little Bobby next door, he's playing his toys. Is he playing his toys better than I am?" You know what I mean? You don't have to ask your mom that, right? Because you already know how it feels to play with your own toys, and you're enjoying it with with you identify with the enjoyment of toys. You're not thinking in terms of, well, am I enjoying my toys the right way or the wrong way? You know what I mean? See, it's like that,
Mhm.
and that's okay. See, in our innocence, we're okay. But then, when all these rules and regulations and how you should be, you're supposed to get with the program. You got to do what your peers are doing. You have to be in a certain grade of development, and not only do you have to go to school, you got to listen to the teacher. You got to, you know what I mean. You got to learn your ABCs and you got to learn your arithmetic because it's going to help you, to live your life and to get a better job and it's all about what you're going to get. So you see, it's not happening on purpose that way. It's just how it starts. It starts by the learning of what you're told and what you should or should not do, what you should or should not think about. It's all about the shoulda, woulda, couldas. The conjured self's all about the shoulda, woulda, couldas, not how everything already is. Everything is already laid out. Long before you and I were born, and the idea of being born is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, uh, the beginning of one's life is not when one is seen to be born, because that's just the body mind appearing to be born. Okay, it's not given a birth certificate yet, but once it gets issued a birth certificate, guess what? It's labeled already. It's labeled and branded an individual. That's an authentic individual. We're going to give it a birth certificate. That way, we can keep track of it the rest of its life, and they can keep track of itself. It can self-identify with that birth certificate because it's just like a doll. If a doll, the handmade doll if it was to talk and it had sentience, if that doll, that very first one that was handcrafted, if it was able to speak, like Pinocchio, if it was able to
Mhm.
speak for itself, it wouldn't recognize that there's a doll maker. So using that analogy, all the conjure cells are likened to that. They're likened to animated figures. And what's the
Right.
animation? We talked about this before regarding the puppeteer and the puppet.
Right.
We're that energetic movement. We're not really a single individual that's pulling strings. There's just it's just the idea. That's just an idea about that. but we're really resonant. We're frequencies of resonance. You know, we're energetic movements that have no boundaries, no parameters. We're on a certain frequency. It's like a radio station broadcasting on a certain.
I remember you saying that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's what we truly are in a sense. Trying to get closest to the best description to understand this. There are many, many, many different ways to explain this, but that's one of them. That kind of, it all depends on where that conjured self is at. That self identification depends on and also how much have you sought. If you're looking to
Hmm.
seeking and trying to figure this out, then what we're going to do is try to cater to that. We're going to try to cater to that which was thought to be an answer. And if it was some kind of answer to a question that the conscious self had, then we'll pick up that, and we'll use that as an analogy, and then apply it to what is always so. What is always so and not so. Not just so. So you see, that's it. In the innocence, it is already simply being awake to being awake. It's aware to being aware. It's always available at all times, in all spaces, in all times. That's exactly what we are. We're non-dual in nature, really. And being a non-dual in nature is that we recognize that the seeker is the sought. What you've been seeking all along is right there, felt. It's a sense feltness. It's the sense of not exactly being a self, but you can't put this into a noun. It's it's the selfing. Selfing. So what that means, selfing is being. You know, I'm being and you're being. You're always being. Does it take effort to be? No. See, notice that. It doesn't take effort to be. Does it simply being
You
awake?
know,
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I know it sounds strange, but or it might sound strange, but
No, just say anything. Say anything.
that I thought, if there's nothing to do, there's
Yeah.
nothing to look for. Well, not maybe not nothing to do, but
Yeah.
technically you don't are required to do anything,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Is
got.
that your question? Is that it?
No, I just got when I was talking, I just like I think I might have. I don't know what happened.
Okay, I'll put it to you this way. Okay, put it to you this way. There's the appearance,
It
okay?
eluded
It,
me.
no,
Okay, go
that's
ahead.
okay. That's all right.
Sorry.
See the doing. Okay, so we think we need to do something, and how can we not do anything? See, that's what you're asking, I think, in terms of trying to be
It
on
was
that
just
level.
being, right? I mean, all we
Yeah,
actually need to
but
do is just be. Is that
there. Well,
correct? I mean,
yeah,
just
this is what I'm trying to say. There is no uh, doing required to simply be. That's what I'm trying to say. We already exist. It's not even an existence. It's just beingness seen. What I'm trying to say is beingness seen means that it's like a glass of milk. You cannot separate the milky substance from the liquid water. You know, the water that is so well congealed, so well
mm,
coalesced that the milk, if it were alive, wouldn't be able to recognize that it's milk. The chemical, the
mm,
composition of the milky substance, and then the base of it is water. So you see, what I, what we're trying to convey here is that it's okay if doing happens. Okay, doing and knowing. Okay, it's okay that knowing and doing happens because it does. Now, here's the difference. There's no separate doer doing anything. It's not in control of the doing, and then there's not a separate knower knowing anything because it cannot control what it knows. See? So I'm trying to break that
yeah.
down so that you can kind of
I,
recognize it. Yeah? Yeah.
I think there's a part of me that feels it. I guess
You
would
already said
be.
it. You already said it. Just catch yourself. Self inquiry right here. This is how you do self inquiry. If you're ever wondering, the ancient practice of self inquiry, it's talked about in India. And this is some really strict, this is the stuff that the monks are doing when they chant.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
when they're chanting. You ever wonder what they're chanting? They're chanting, "I'm not a
I
body. I'm not a body. I'm not a body. I'm not a body." That's how they're chanting. But
really?
yes, really, honestly, seriously, "I'm not a
Wow.
body. I'm not a body." And then they go on to a different chant that focuses because the repetition. They recognize that
Mhm.
repetition. These monks isolate themselves. See, they isolate themselves from the societal structure because they know
Right.
if they don't do that, then the recognition of a separate self comes in and restricts them and blocks them from what is already set up in the universe, and in all spaces and all times throughout the universe. But what we are is timeless. We're boundless. We're not part of any particular part of the universe. We are the
Nope.
universe. We are it. We're just like sort of like the Borg, in Star Trek. You know, kind of like
Oh,
copies,
Borg. Borg.
like the Borg.
Yeah.
Copies of one another. Copies,
We are
copies, copies,
Borg.
copies.
Yes.
Copies, but they're just slightly different. If you look at them closely, you know if you can pick up the little features, they're just slightly
Right.
different, but they're still Borg, right? Well, we're
Right.
sort of like that in a sense, but without the distinctions in terms of what is visibly observable. Okay, so we see
Right.
something. When I say we're seeing something, we don't always interpret the same thing that we're seeing, right? Take two people, okay? One person witnesses a car accident, then the second person witnesses a car accident. There's going to be
Mhm.
two completely different accounts of that accident that each person is going to describe. One person is going to notice something that the other one did not. The
Right.
reports are
Mhm.
not always congruent all the way across the board. There's always going to be some particular feature. I'll give you another example. If
Mhm.
we went to, let's say, a gallery, an art gallery, and then we're looking at some paintings, and then let's say you and I, William, we're standing in front of a painting, and it's a type of a painting that shows a town, a real small city and small town, but it kind of shows it in a two-dimensional kind of way where the painting is the painting and it's not three-dimensional like a hologram or anything like that. It's just on a flat canvas. It's painted on there. There's images there, and so we're both observing this painting. Now I'm going to point out, and I might notice something on that painting, and there's a lot that seems to be appearing on that painting. So this is kind of how it is with this approach as to what's already is. I mean, what's already set up, what's already out there, long before all the human beings showed up and appeared. Nobody
Mhm.
knows and will never know, no matter how far back the anthropologist digs in the earth, because they continue to keep finding more evidence of, than appear. They find bowls, artifacts, pottery, all kinds of different things like that. And the further down they keep digging, they keep finding more evidence of that. Now, is that physical, substantial evidence? Well, in a sense, that's what is, that's what we have to go by because there's a bowl way down there, and it's been down there for who knows how long. Carbon dating, we have
Right.
that measurement. We can go down and keep digging. We can find little artifacts. That's kind of similar to what happens with this idea of ourselves. See, everybody has a story. Okay, let me put it to you this way: everybody has a story, and each person's story is based on this self reflection. It's self realization. So we're sentient, obviously. We're sentient because we can think about it. We can think about being alive. See, we can think about being alive, and then we know we're alive, and then we believe we're alive. But does that require constant daily nurturing to say, well, I know I'm alive, I know I'm alive? Not necessarily, but that's kind of how it's ignored as well. This
Mhm.
idea that I'm living my own life and I really don't give it a second thought because that's just the way I learned, the way things are. And this has been going on. Oh man, all of the life that I think has been my life, but all along it was never our own lives. It was just life lived through these appearances. of our bodies. And we call them our bodies because we associate ourselves with a body we think is our own, but it's not. See, we keep self-identifying and say, this is my body. And if you believe that wholeheartedly, then this message right here is not ever going to make sense. You see, it's never going to make sense because this learning became so ingrained after so many years of contact with others and thinking that that contact was real. It was physically real because I shook that person's hand or I hugged that other person. Now, I'm saying that they're another individual person because that's what I believe and that's what I know because I learned that. So it all started with the learning. Everything that's learned turns out to be what I know. And then what I learned, I know I have to believe because that's where my beliefs come from. So you see, it's kind of the cousin of knowing, believing. Believing is the cousin of knowing. But so you see, it's sort of like a family of knowers and doers that we really don't understand how did it all start? How did this all come about? See, that's when that question arises, where what is this all about? What is the meaning of life? So it wants to know. It keeps asking these questions. What is this? What is that? How is that? How is this? Guess what? It's no particular way. How? No particular way. Why? No specific way. It's all ways. It's always all ways, no matter what those ways might be that are conjured. Any way that's conjured, that the conjured self has conjured the idea that it thinks it knows, and it thinks it needs to do something about what it knows, and it believes in separation. It believes in dualities, right and wrong, good and bad. Like that.
Yeah, that one I have a hard time with is but then
Unraveling that. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean
Yeah.
there's I struggled with. I mean, I was just
Yeah.
watching a video where
Yes.
Jim was this woman was asking the question about morality,
Yeah. Oh,
and
yes. Yes.
so I was just like,
Yeah.
how can you say there's, and it's like so. Anyway, that was the question, is morality, and I was like, well, there has to be morality. There's that stand I took right there. I said, there's morality, and then I said, well, if you're going to stand there, then that means that everybody can be judged from, that is going to apply back to you too then.
But
So in that sense, it's not fair because,
yeah, well, one person's morality could
it's
mean
not
something
another's.
different to
Yeah.
another. But
Yeah, exactly.
those
So,
differences are unreal. Those are just conjured. Those differences that are thought to be one's own decision. See, it's when it takes ownership of life and it thinks it can control a life that it believes is its own. That's when it gets all stuck in this constriction of oneself. Oh, look what he
I,
did. I'll give you an example. Look what you did to
mm,
me. Did I do
mm.
anything to you? See, it's always about me. It's always about you. It's always about everything is taken personally. But that's not really how it is. It's only thought to be that way. It's only believed. How and why is that so? It's because it was learned. So whatever was learned eventually turns out to be what I know and what I believe. But drop both, right? Even drop the learning, drop all three. What are you left with? See, that's right there. Start with that. Don't start with what you know. Don't start with what, and don't keep it going either. Because if you keep that going, then you never really go into the experience. Now, it is sort of like an experience, but it's hard to put into words. When this falling away and collapse, that's what they're saying. You're going to hear a lot of non-duality speakers. If you look into this a bit more, William, if you listen to other speakers speaking about this message, I'd highly recommend, if this body mind action figure recommend, this neo advisor would recommend listening to a speaker about this message, Paul Hederman. Paul Hederman's brilliant. I mean, he's really, really good at taking the message, but making it so simple. And let me put it this way: he curses like a motherfucker. He curses like a fucking sailor, and
yeah.
people let him. People let him because you see what he's simply trying to demonstrate is a lot like I go so far as saying he's sort of like the modern day Jesus. Yeah, I'd go so far as saying that. Sort of very similar to Jesus. Now, if you listen to how he speaks, he brings up that a lot. He says about we're in the world, but we're not of the world. Then he brings up about A Course in Miracles. Now, if you look into that, Course in Miracles, it has some religious connotations to it. It refers to
Correct.
God, and Jesus, but there's nothing wrong with
I
that.
remember.
It's just an example, you know. But it's when you start taking it literally, that's when you get a little bit confused, and then that's when it starts turning into, wait, I don't get this. But you don't have to get it. But see, and then it starts going like that. But I want to know. I want to know this for myself. See, you don't have to know it for yourself. You're already being it. So the way Paul Hederman puts it, he says selfing. The self cannot get out of the self. What does that mean? Well, the self cannot get out of what it believes it's in. You see, the selfing is the same as what I would refer to as, when I say I, this non-duality speaker. Okay, because the self-identification still goes on, but it gets replaced, so to speak. I'm no longer self-identifying with an individual that I believe on my own, and my beginning of my life was when I was born, and the ending of my life is when I'll die. No, that's no longer going on, because this identification with this birth name and birthright Richard Ty Trevino died. It's no longer associated, but it will still bring it up for those that still have yet to die whilst they're appearing in the body. Okay, so they're appearing in the body, but it yet it has to unravel still. All of that conditioning, all that learning, all those years of being told, and then you believe in it. You're believing in everything you're told, and then you think you know it. So if you're believing it in a separate, particular, certain way. Let's say you believe in something in a particular way, and another person doesn't. It just goes on and
Right.
on. It self-perpetuates. It self-perpetuates like that until that body takes its last breath. It continues on. And then guess what happens? Once it's about to believe it's going to die, it fears it. And that's when it freaks out and gets scared. That's where the fear comes from. There's two acronyms for it. One of them is fear is forgetting everything is already resolved. That's the acronym for fear. Have you ever heard of that one?
No, say that again. Would you
Fear is
mind?
an acronym. Okay.
Okay.
Forgetting everything is already resolved. That's profound. That's very profound. If you could take something that basic, if you could take an acronym like that, that kind of encapsulates the message of non-duality.
Yeah, I get it now.
That acronym. Fear,
Yeah.
forgetting everything's already resolved. What's resolved? Everything. Really?
Yeah.
And what is everything?
It takes the burden out of worry in a way, right? I mean, you're not
Well,
burdened with everything if it's
well,
all.
yeah, that's kind of how it apparently appears to be a collapse that begins to kind of nudge. It's called a glimpse, and a little bit more of those glimpses will continue once the action figure or the body mind complex or the self conjure self. There's three ways to point to that which believes it is separate from an everybody and everybody else reality, from a societal structure. It still believes in a separate everybody and everything else, and then it wants to be part of that.
Okay, I'm going to be facetious. Yeah. How are we all connected?
Yes, the connectivity. Yes, let's get back to connectivity. Okay. Okay. So the connectivity is this. In nature, there's connectivity there, and that connectivity has been ongoing for billions of years. So that's something that's kind of justifiably provable, evidential. That's evidential. Nature has been around in terms of time, billions of years, long before any man appeared as though they were setting foot on this planet. Yes. So if that's the case, then how why should there be connectivity if nothing's separate? That's what I'm trying to say. Why would there need to be connectivity of anything when nothing stands alone? See?
You know, I was asking my granddaughter a question because I was like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because I was bouncing it off her head. I said, so,
Yeah.
you know, asking her, you know, I said, if we're all connected, Concha, you know, 'cause
Yeah.
that's her name, Concepcion.
Okay.
Well, we call her Concha. But anyways, I said,
Okay.
if we're all connected, Concha, I said, how come I can't read your thoughts and you can't read my thoughts? She goes,
Yeah.
well, maybe that's not how we're connected, Grandpa. And I thought, well,
Oh, that's
listen, aren't
wise.
you a little brain? Aren't you a
Oh yeah,
brainy one?
listen to that. That sounds
I
Zen.
know.
That's Zen right there. No,
Yeah.
it really is, William. That's Zen. And what I mean when I say Zen, Zen kind of encapsulates these one-liners, these quotable quotes, whereby
Right.
it refers to the seek. Here's a really heavy, very, very strong non-dual statement here in terms of, in a traditional sense, Advaita Vedanta, going back to India. But we're not going to be talking about India here. We're going to be referring to what apparently appears to be going on right now, and that's the Neo-Advaita movement, and which, of course, if you want to go back to the origins, we can discuss about where it all started. But if you go to the website, I catered to every last one of them. I didn't leave any stone unturned, so to speak. What I've done, I decided is, you know what? I know how stubborn the conjured self is. I know how stubborn it is when it thinks it knows. When it thinks it knows what it's talking about. Oh, I know what I'm talking about. You know, it goes like that.
Right.
I know what I'm talking. You can't tell me it's not like that. It can't be like that. I don't believe it's like that. See, believe. See, believe. No, I have to believe it. I have to know it. I have to know it and prove it to
Right.
myself. See, it's always about proving. It's got to have proof. I need the evidence, or I'm not going to believe it's real.
It's true. That's true. I definitely think that's true. It's hard to
Yeah.
it's hard to digest something that you can't,
See,
or I guess you could say
yeah,
the
you can't
body
feel
can't put its
something.
hands on.
Yeah, something that you
You
can't
know.
hold in your hands to say these are my
Right.
hands holding something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if we
Mm-hmm.
could just take that way back, if we could just recognize that, yeah, these are hands, this is a body, but do you really own that? Is it really yours? If anything, it's a loaner. You know,
Right. This is what I was thinking. It's a
yeah, it's being
loaner, if
loaned out.
anything.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's being loaned out. You know,
Mm-hmm.
although we put the hand in front of the face, and we call that hand our own hand. You know, you ever heard the expression? Oh man, I know that road like the back of my hand. Yeah, like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that. Really.
Like the back of my hand.
Yeah, I know it. So, but notice they say, I know it. See, I know that
Yeah.
road like the back of my hand, like the way I know the back of my hand. I know that road the same way. See, so it's just all subjective. It's taking objects, it's taking the road, and then applying subjects to that object. You see, this could be done with absolutely everything that's thought to be separate and standing alone. You see, you
Would
could
you say
take,
the
yeah,
knower likes to label everything? Would you say the
yes,
knower likes to label
yes.
everything?
Well, it wasn't really necessary, and that's how it got locked into religion, because
Mm.
the way that the New Testament was scribed was
Oh.
nowhere near the same. The way the scribes, the Hindi in India, they scribed the Sanskrit, and the Sanskrit was from the word. And remember, there was the word at the very beginning, wasn't there? Or what's thought to have
Yes,
been a
sir.
beginning. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So in the beginning, there was what? The word, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means
Yes.
is expressing through these bodies that we are believed to be our own, but they're just borrowed. They're loaners. Look at it this way, William. You would go to a
Mm.
car lot, okay? Let's go into a car lot. We're either going to choose a brand new car, a brand new or an old used car. But they're all
Right.
used. They're all used cars. They're all used cars on the lot. Every last one of them.
Right. Okay.
So we're
All
kind
right.
of like a utilitarian vehicle, if you will. And in some New Age circles, they would refer to that and they call it the ground crew. If we're going to look at it in with resonance and frequencies of energy like that, the ground crew. Okay, so it's like clothing. It's like putting on a shirt or a pair of pants, a pair of socks. It's sort of like
Okay.
that. Yeah. So we see the cars out there, and they all look different. They're all different colors, and they have different models to them, different names. By the way, the names of the cars and the models are equivalent to what? The birth
My
certificate.
birth certificate.
See,
Oh, I'm
you're catching
sorry.
on now. So you see these analogies, okay? So let's take that further back. Let's take that further back. So we see those cars in a lot, and we want to drive in one of those. And where are we going to drive around that car? Life. Okay, so what does the driver represent? The driver has yet to get in that car, right? It represents that little energetic movement of being born. See? So the driver is coming out of nowhere from nothing, and it's about to enter space and time, and it's going to look for its car that it's going to use through life. So whatever it has, whatever life has in store for it, it's going to use that particular choice. It made a choice. Now here's where it gets a little tricky. Did we choose these bodies that we were born into? No, we didn't, did we? Definitely, I can admit that. I can admit that not only did I choose this body that I'm in, I didn't choose the family. You know, how's that saying go? You can choose your, you can choose, you can't choose your the family you're born in, or something like that, or you can't choose. Oh, when you're married, when you marry somebody, you can't choose your in-laws.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
something like that. Something like that. So that's where all these sayings, these quotes, they stem from that. They stem from
wives' tales and so forth.
Yeah, it stems from what we think we've learned in terms of families and then positions in the family. You got your father; it's the paternal instinct there, and you got your mother. That's the maternal instinct, the nurturing, and you have these roles to play. Yeah. So there's the stage. There's a stage within a stage. The stage on the planet was already around billions and billions of years, right? And then along comes players, portrayers, actors, and that's here where the body comes in, the body mind action figure, of what feels as though it's our body. But you see, that's the driver mistaking itself for the car.
So,
yeah,
Richard, would you say there, other than, I mean, the body, of course, there's a body.
Yeah, there's just the appearance of a body. The appearance, yeah.
All right, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Is there, since there's a puppet, there has to be a master, correct?
Well, there's a puppeteer.
Or no?
There's a puppeteer. Okay.
Somebody's pulling the strings, right?
The puppeteer is not the authorities. Okay, not Big Brother. They're not pulling this. They're not pulling our strings, are they? No. They're probably trying to tug at them because they want us to give them more money. Yeah, they want all the wealth and power in the world. Yeah, because
is true.
That's how conspiracy theories are born, in a sense. They start like that. They start that way to get you to believe in something that you should be believing, but no, you don't really have to. Is it your choice to believe in anything? Well, it's not necessarily a choice, because a belief is not a choice. It all stems from what is learned. And what is learned, then it starts to be known. And then what is known, then it's the belief. Because either you're going to believe something or you're going to disbelieve it. One of the two.
Right. True.
But how about dropping all three of them? Let's drop the learning. Let's drop the knowing, and let's drop the believing. So believing, knowing, learning. Let's drop all three. What are you left with? Nothing. You see? So no thing needs to be known. No thing needs to be done in the terms of a separate doer that's doing something, and a separate knower that's knowing something, and a separate believer that's believing in anything. All three are negated. All three are just dropped. And then what are you left with? Just simply being, right? You're already being. Yeah. You're already awake to being awake. You're already aware to being aware. You're already that way. Yeah. And you're always that way. Yeah. There's no particular specific way about being. It's just simply go. Let me put you this way, William. It's going along with the current. And what is that current? What is that current? That's the universal current that's always It's kind of like that the heartbeat of the planet, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah, and we are cohabitators with it. We're not a virus. If we were a virus on this planet, the planet would have got rid of the human race a long time ago. It really would have.
Yeah.
But
You
since
know,
we're still around, so we're cohabitating with Gaia. We can call it Gaia.
okay.
Yeah, you can call it Gaia.
Is that like a planet energy, so to speak?
There you go. Planet energy. It's alive. This planet is alive, and the Watchers is just as the body mind appears, the human form appears 75% water. So it's a planet.
Mm-hmm.
We're cohabitating with it. So, so this is why the Native Americans were referring to Grandfather Sky, and see, he was taking,
Mother.
yeah, Mother Earth. There you go. See,
Mm-hmm.
he was taking it down to the family because there's unity in that. There is. There's a unifying principle. If you want to use the language of science, there's a unifying principle to absolutely all of it that's manifesting. Everything that makes an appearance, anything that makes an appearance, but it's not making a separate appearance. That's where the conjured self gets stuck. It gets stuck with separation because it believes it and thinks it because it learned it. If it learned it, then it took it upon itself to have a particular knowledge base about it, kind of thing.
My mom's not doing very good.
Oh,
I have to
sorry.
keep an eye on her.
Uh,
All right. You okay, Mother? Yeah, she's
how old's your mom?
70. She's got COPD, and you know, they when I moved her in, I picked her up at the hospital. They said that if I didn't take her, that they're going to put her in
A home.
a home because she can't take care of herself.
Yeah.
So, anyways, you know, she
Yeah.
wasn't supposed to live as long as she has, and
Yeah.
you know, it's like
Yeah.
it just seems like these last 3 days, you know, what it's funny is it's not funny, but I kept hearing a cat, and that's what you keep seeing me listen. And it's like when she breathes, it sounds like a cat crying. You know, I hear a, and it sounds like a
Yeah.
cat, and so I keep like, is there a
Does she
cat?
suffer from asthma? A little bit of asthma?
Yeah,
Huh?
she has all kinds of breathers, two breathers. She's on oxygen right now.
Did she used to smoke?
Anyways,
Did she smoke when she was younger?
yeah,
She
I
did, right?
remember.
She smoked,
Oh
right?
yeah, she
Yeah.
did. Oh yeah, I'd be
Yeah.
in the car. We'd be riding in the car. Listen, you know,
Yeah. Well, you know that's where that stems from. You know, the breathing problems, right? You know that. You
Yep.
recognize that, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, you see, my dad was so damn stubborn. He could have he worked for the government, right? Civil service. Get this.
Right.
Civil service. He didn't even get a single checkup. He could have got an easy checkup. This is the way he looked at it. He said, and he wanted to be proud of it too. He said, I work for the government, civil service. I saved 2 years of sick leave and I haven't used any of it. 2 full years. And he was proud of that. But meanwhile,
Right.
his health was suffering. He was suffering from, drinking. My dad loved the suds, man. He loved beer. Oh, he loved the Budweiser, man. The tap. It had to be tap. It couldn't be bottles. It couldn't be cans. It had to be the tap.
Oh, really?
In a sense, he was kind of an alcoholic, but he was kind of the manageable type. He said he was a manageable type. I knew he had a drinking problem. We all knew that. The family did. But he's the head of the family. We don't tell the head of the family anything because you know what I mean. We respect him. He's the breadwinner. He pays the bills, and so nobody says anything when we're kids. You know what I mean? So that's just how it turned out. The head of the family is the one that kind of makes everything happen and work out for everyone else. That's usually how it works, but not in every case. But see, we're bringing it down to where we're recognizing, we're acknowledging something that's really real and it's really immediate and it happened. We have a history. How do we know that? The history that we have is recognizing that there was a past and there were these roles. I was playing the son. I had a brother. I was not only a brother, I was a son to my parents. And then I had grandparents, see? And it's that taking it from those roles and believing that the roles that I play is what I'm doing in my life now with these others that are my family members. So that's what we learned, right? We learned that because it was immediate. It was apparently appearing to be the situation we were in. We were in that situation, and it's common across the entire planet. The family unit, and you can look at it in other species. Look at the canines, the wolves. They run in packs, don't they? That's why
Yep.
they're so likened to be man's best friend because they're very loyal. You know, they don't ask for anything. Even if they could, they wouldn't. But
Yeah.
getting back to the difference between owning, not owning, but having a pet dog or a pet cat, you
Mm.
automatically see the differences in the species.
Yes.
You see the loyalty of the canine, but then you see the independence of the feline. All it cares is it gets fed, and it might purr for you, it might rub against your shoulder or something, but that's as far as it goes. As long as it gets fed, it's fine. It can go off and lay down somewhere, or at night it's nocturnal. It's just following its instincts, its natural instinct to hunt. So it looks for
Yep.
a mouse, a field mouse, or a bird or something, and then it brings it to the porch. It's only doing that because it's doing that to offer you that. It's just giving you kind of an offer to
Yeah.
say, "Yeah, look, I brought this to you. Here you go," because
Yeah.
it's respecting as far as it can go, and running on instinct. So you see, there's this instinctive nature with the human form. Now, when I say the human form,
Mm.
the reason why I say that because I'm not going to say my body, and if you want to continue to say your body, that's fine, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But in the use of language, I mean, there's no non-duality police is going to pull you over, and say, hey, you know, here's a
Do you
fine.
think it's important though? I mean, it's important for your progress apparently to
The
not
importance.
to keep yourself aware that you're not the body. So
Oh,
that's
there you
what I
go.
hear from you.
Oh man, I'm glad you said that, William, because here's what's really happening. It's not so much of any kind of importance that needs to be there, and there's no progress that needs to be made. Okay, let's take that back further. What that means. What that
Mm-hmm.
means is that it takes no effort, just as the default position, so to speak. The default position is when we're breathing, right? And the heart's beating. That's effortless. It's an automatic response, isn't it? It knows the body knows it needs to pump blood, and it does that, and the heart keeps beating, and and it's just a natural default position. Now, there's also the the respiratory system, breathing. So let's say,
Mm-hmm.
like your mom, bless her, your mom having breathing problems, but it's still appearing, still showing up poorly. Yeah, because why? Well, it really didn't take care very much care, take care of itself. It smoked, didn't care at the time, but now it probably does. But it's too late. But that's not to say
Mm-hmm.
that that's doomsday. No, hell no. Your mom will live on. Her essence will return to every awareness. Essence will go back, and then it might come back. If the reincarnation story is true, I don't know. I'll admit I don't know
Right.
if it's true. No one's come back.
There's still a mystery out there, right?
Yeah,
I
there's
mean, we still don't know the big mystery. So
man, there's mysteries left, right, and center. Oh yeah, in fact, there are more mysteries than there are facts. It seems. Yeah, it seems.
yeah.
It seems that there are more mystery. And you know what? You could chalk that up to the unknowables. That's unknowable. Mysteries are unknown. They're unknowable to anybody. Nobody really knows
Correct.
the hows and
Mm-hmm.
whys behind a mystery. And in a sense, that's what life really is. We could call it whatever we want. We could come up with any kind of a belief about that, but it's still unknowable. So the best that anybody could come up with in terms of answering a mystery is come up with a theory, which the physicist is doing. The physicist is doing coming up with a theory because that's the best it's ever going to do. It's not going to figure it out. It's already unknowable, but it's still going to try to come up with a theory anyway, nonetheless. So that's the best it's doing right now. Dark matter, 35% of space that's looked upon and gazed upon out in space, and the Hubble, the Hubble that's just checking, just by the way, a very small slither of what's out there in the universe.
Oh yeah.
It could never encapsulate everything. That's like trying to
Oh
count. That's William. That's like trying to count every single grain of sand on every beach on this planet. Wow,
man,
immeasurable, right?
that is crazy.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Immeasurable countenance. There's no set number, but you see, the the physicist is still not happy. He's still trying to figure it out. It's never satisfied. It believes it's going to figure out, and it's going for the Nobel Prize too. Just like Einstein. Einstein really wasn't going for it. He just noticed, about properties of the universe, and and he even recognized himself. And he used to say things like, "Yeah, we'll never really know this kind of funny monkey business going on, this Mickey Mouse action that's happening out in the universe and the inner workings, and we can only come up with theories, and so that's what goes on in the language of science. So the language of science, that's that language going on, and what I'm referring to when referring to non-duality, and referring to this message, this encapsulates absolutely all of it. Always, it's the final answer. There is no more seeking.
It does feel like it.
Seeking
It
stops
does
in
feel
its
like it.
seeking stops in its tracks. There is nowhere else to
Yes.
go. No, nowhere else to go now. If you
Yeah.
confront this message, if you confront it, and then you recognize it, you don't have to know it, and you don't have to do anything about it, because you're already being. Now, that's what this is about. The beingness seen. Not a final being where, okay, this is it, you're being, it's over. You can't.
You win.
Yeah, you can't stop the being. But I tell you what will die. In a sense, kind of the death is not so much a physical death, but it's a death of non-physicality. In other words, it won't recognize itself as a physical, permanent, life. This is my life, and that's it. It'll entertain the idea of reincarnation, though, that it's going to come back again. It'll entertain that, but that's as far as it can go. See, it can only theorize and entertain the idea. And it can come up with fanciful imaginings and science fiction and all that sort of thing. It's going to keep doing that. It's going to keep on and on. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with looking into it. You look into it, and that's all you're doing. You're entertaining ideas, but they're not going to go anywhere. There's nowhere for these to go, because there's no finality in anything. Nothing ends. It just keeps on and on and on and on and on and keeps going, keeps going. How and why is that? Well, there's energy. It has no parameters. It has no end to it. It's infinitudinal complexification, infinitudinal to infinity and beyond. You could say, like in Toy Story, the little robot. You can say it like that too. I mean, there's all types of different ways. You say it however you see it, and who's seeing it? Well, not through the eyes of a body mind, and you think it's your own body seeing through those eyes. There's just the activity of seeing. And that's the energetic principle. That's the animating principle of the puppet. See? Puppeteer. Yeah.
I really like the way Jeff, is that his name again?
Yeah,
Jeff, right?
yeah, Jeff. Yeah.
He goes, he'd say stuff, and he'd go, apparently.
Yes.
And it's just like,
you got to throw apparently.
Yeah. It's like the way things, it looks that way, so apparently that's the way it's presented.
That's
so
right.
we take it on that value, right?
Yes.
The way it's apparent. So until we know different, I guess, or there's the knower.
we won't know different. We can't know different because there are no differences to knows.
There you go.
Yeah. It's just simply apparent. So what that means is just temporarily in space and time. Temporal means time, temporally. And then temporarily is the impermanence. And impermanence is a temporary appearance. So there are appearances, disappearances, and reappearances, and on and on and on. It's almost cyclic, and cycles. Yeah, like clockwork. The entire infinite universe apparently appears to be operating as a clock. There's a galactic center. Then there's billions of galaxies closest to that galactic center. Nobody knows what's at the center of that galactic center. Some physicists think it's a giant black hole.
Who's to say? I don't know.
I know. I don't either. Nobody knows. But again,
I mean, that's what they tell us.
Well, that's a theory. Well, yeah, but that's a theory. See, It's not a fact.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a theory. That's the best they're ever going to do about mysteries. And that is a mystery. The black hole is a mystery. Now, there's two camps on this. There's two sides to the idea about a black hole and what that is. One of them is that it's a giant vacuum and it's sucking up all energy around it, and then it's the void. Nothing exists.
Right.
Everything dies. Everything stops. No energy whatsoever in it. No.
Mm.
Nobody knows that. It's not a fact. It's just a theory. Now, here's the other theory that's entertained, other than that one. The black hole represents yet another portal to yet another group of universes. Whoa, come on. Could it really be like that? We don't know. But wouldn't that be something if that's kind of what a black hole represents? A black hole could represent similar to a wormhole. That could be a gigantic, massive wormhole that could.
Well, those are definitely.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, I think those are definitely two opposing ideas. I mean, to have, a black hole that will crush and kill, or a black hole that takes you to
more, more life, more energy.
I mean, those are are two different,
Yeah.
One, to speak about black holes, though, is I remember them saying that as, matter, when matter reaches, gets close to the speed of light,
yes,
that it increases in gravity and mass.
Okay.
And I was wondering if, because I don't know anything. I guess I might as well have my guess as much as the others. But
you can look into it. Isn't wrong with entertaining it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, is a black hole basically matter that just entered, got too fast, and by getting going so fast that it created a mass. And then in my mind, it works out because, it's gonna, if this matter got so big and it's faster than light, that it draws in light, it's kind of, not that that's a bad thing or a good thing. I don't know. I just think that it might, that it could be a possibility.
Yeah.
You heard that, right?
Before, of course I have. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I looked into it. But you see, again, we can only be theorized. We can only try. It's guesswork.
Correct.
We can only guess at
it. It doesn't matter anyway.
Well, there you go.
It doesn't matter.
There, you see, you said it. You said something that I would have normally said, but you said it for me. So there you go. So yeah, it's true. Nothing really matters. Now let's take that with the language of science as well. Matter is thought to be what? Physicality or physical, something
substance,
that's tangible, right? Substance with substance, tangible. Yeah. Atomic structure, right? Atoms. Yeah. Molecules, that kind of thing. But it turns out, it turns out though, look at all the space in an atom. And look at all the space around electrons and things like that. So,
well, that's our perspective, right? If we change our perspective, we're going to see it different. So,
But so
is that true? Or?
Yeah, whatever ideas conceived in a mind is believed to be one's own. Then that's all it's going to do. It's only going to go based on interpretation. It's going to be interpreting. It's going to be interpreting based on what it's believing to be its own interpretation. See, it's going to take the interpretations and it's going to file them away to what it believes it knows. So I'm learning that.
Right?
Yeah. It's always that threefold principle. It's always goes from the learning to the knowing, and then from the knowing to the believing, and then it just and then it just keeps spinning like that. For the conjured self, 2x4 from, about, with, upon, between, around, before and after, all the directions, north, south, east, west, in, out, here, there, all of that, all of the pronouns, every pronoun you could think of. That's the life of the conjured self. It lives in separation. It lives in terminal uniqueness. It lives in dualities, all the dualities, and there are innumerable dualities that a conjured self can express, just as there are innumerable ways that a non-dual nature, which really is all there really is. All there really is a non-dual nature of energy seemingly operating to no end. It's just constantly operating as an energetic movement, and there are innumerable frequencies. There are innumerable radio stations broadcasting out there. You can't tune into all of them. all at once.
Mm.
No, you can't. So there it is. Take your pick. There's variety. Variety is what? The spice of life. Indeed, it is.
Yes,
Very
I remember
spicy.
hearing that a long time ago.
Yes, yes, very spicy,
And I,
very spicy. So there's
how funny.
plenty to choose from. If you think you're exerting a will of your own and you're going to choose, go for it. All they are simply are preferences. So it's a frequency of resonance that is kind of gravitating. There's gravity again. Sure, there's gravity, but that force of gravity, if you apply it to a body, mind, action figure, it's appearing. It's on a certain frequency range, right? And this is where the idea of a higher self comes in, and then a different state of appearing, and then we can start
Mm.
going into about the silver cord, and the silver cord
Mm.
will snap if it's no longer tethered and anchored as a ground crew in the third dimensional construct. So if we see a third dimensional construct, that's third dimensionally speaking, whereby the appearances are visibly observable in a mirror. So if an appearance
Mm.
is visibly observable in the mirror, that's the temporal temporariness manifesting a reflection in that mirror. We're not the reflection, obviously. Plus, we're not the borrowed, in a sense, ground crew. Getting back to that analogy about the car lot,
Mm.
we're the driver. We're the driver, and we're always driving. How are we always driving? We're driving, we're always constantly being and driving. And perhaps we know for sure, but perhaps it may be this way, whereby the countless of billions and billions of Earth like planets out there are just awaiting, you know, uh, the next energetic movement of a body mind action figure. The next puppeteer is going to be part of that particular planetary abode, and it just keeps going on and on forever that way, on and on and on like that, just like this, like that, like all the other ways. And they're just immeasurable, they're unknowable, and the countenance of all that is and is not, everything and nothing, and separately so and not so. It's just never ending. It'll always continue on and on, continue to go on, always, 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 always and always. No beginning and no ending, the Alpha and Omega. That's the Alpha and Omega right there. Yeah.
The closest I could get to in understanding that is a fractal.
Mm-hmm.
You know how it's always the same, but it's changing, and it's
Yeah.
always, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I mean,
Yeah.
and it seems.
In terms of visibility, in terms of what can be noticed and seen through light, that's this light arranging. It's the arrangement of energy appearing using light to manifest these appearances. And the opposite of that is its shadow, or the darkness, or the unseen. So you have these manifestations. If we're going to use the language of science, it has to do with
Mm.
frequencies of resonance, going back to that sort of thing, and those kind of analogies. But yeah, um, and it just keeps going on and on. We could pick up this conversation, and it has a life of its own, and it just keeps going on. Because why? The availability of thoughts are always available as well. The thought forms, the thought patterns, just like clouds going across the sky. And then
Mm.
there's the word consciousness. A lot of these metaphysicians, people into metaphysics, they always bring up consciousness, the word conscious. And then you have your consciousness researchers that they could say they're researching consciousness. Well, I could say I'm researching non-duality then, non-dualism. I turn non-duality into it. I turned non-duality into an ism.
Yeah.
So what? There's no law against that. I'm not going to get arrested for coming up. I'm not going to get fined or anything like that. It's free. It's free information, and entertain it, and it's not hurting anybody. I mean, it's not going to make any difference. It's not going to make any difference to what already arises and appears, just as everything always. So it's a
So
win-win.
everything's going according to plan, right?
Yeah, there you go.
If there's a plan, then it's going.
Yeah,
If there was a plan, then it'd be going that way.
well, the
Because it wouldn't
divine.
make a difference,
Well,
right?
yeah. If you want to call it a divine plan, you could. we could
Yeah,
say
or dirty diaper. I like that.
oh yeah, all there is, or yeah, yeah,
I
dirty
really.
underwear. Yeah, all there is dirty
Oh
underwear.
yeah, that's
Call it
one.
whatever you want to
That
call it.
was.
That's
Yeah,
that's
that really.
that's what he's trying to
But
say.
that kind of.
Yeah, Jim Newman's trying to say that any object is seen as a separate object. That's everything appearing as that object. See, like the cupping.
Wow.
The floor is flooring. The wall is walling. That's how they talk. They talk that way. But you see, for those conjured cells that are new to this message, they shouldn't be hit that hard. You know, that's radical non-duality. They shouldn't be hit that hard with this message. They should you should kind of ease into it. But you see, that's it. The conjured cell it unravels in its own way naturally. It just unravels. It's just like a freaking slinky. You know, you put the slinky down the stairs, and you notice how it goes
A
on each
slinky,
step.
a slinky.
Yeah,
Remember that song?
yeah, the slinky commercial.
I'm
Yeah,
a girl or a boy.
yeah. I remember all those. I remember the stuck on band-aid. I was stuck on band-aids because band-aids stuck on me.
They stuck on me. Yeah.
Do you know?
All that weird programming.
Do you know who? Do you know who wrote that jingle? Band-Aids?
No, not at all.
That's Barry Manilow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Barry Manilow used to write a lot of the jingles for commercial songs.
Right on.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this body mind action figure, this conjured self was raised on television, man. Looney Tunes Saturday morning cartoons. You know, the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner Hour and all that sort of thing. Oh, yeah.
I loved it. I lived for it. Saturday morning cereal, sit down, watch my TV.
Saturday morning cereal, yeah.
11.
Yeah, what did you like? Alphabets? What did you like?
Door.
What did you like? Alphabets, Fruit Loops? What was it? Wheaties?
All of them, really.
Yeah.
Well, not Wheaties.
You didn't have a favorite? Didn't have a favorite?
I don't remember at this time, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Yeah.
You know why you don't remember, right?
No.
Guess why, Willie.
Because it never happened?
That's right. Not only did it not happen, but that was William's. That was a version of William when he was a younger guy, younger boy, and now he's an adult. Now William's an adult. Now, what is William going to do with the rest of the life that he thinks is his own life? What is William going to do with that? Does he have to?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Does he have to do anything? Do you have to?
Technically, no, I guess.
Exactly. This is where this is where we're bringing you to right now. It seems like we're bringing you to a place that you've never been. Okay, so what we're trying to tell you here, the message of non-duality is that you've always been what you think you're not. In other words, you're not the body mind, and you're not the idea of a birth name and birthright. You're just simply being. Now, that's to say that the connectivity, getting back to connectivity, that is a definition of connectivity. In other words, to simply be and awake to being awake, aware to being aware, that's the connectivity, because that's all there is. All there is connectivity. So therefore, everything and nothing that's inseparably so not so is appearing as connectivity in that respect. That way, that particular way. So if you have a particular way that you're looking at, it's that and everything else. All of it. Always, always. So no matter what ideas you're entertaining, there are always other ideas to entertain. There always will be. And so
aren't we talking about?
Yeah.
When we talking, it's like saying like the accident that we were speaking of earlier. That the points of view from
Point. There. I'm glad you brought that up about point of view. Let's take that. Let's take point of view. Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. So here it is. Is there a single point of view that matters more than another point of view?
I can't say that there would be.
Or would it be the same? Was it the same point of view every time? In every situation?
Well,
not really, is it? No.
We're going to have an individual. I line up to, well, the individual would have a different, but if we're not separated, then I'm lying to myself. So,
oh, man.
I'd I'd say you're laughing at me.
It's funny. It really is. There's a lot of laughter that goes on in these thought songs. It's okay. You
It's
got to
all
laugh at,
good.
because guess what's laughing? Guess what's laughing? It's the conjured self that you took yourself to be, as though you were a separate person living your own life all along. And now it's laughing because it recognizes that was a joke. I was living a fucking lie, man. I was living a lie because I thought that I was alone, and in my despair, it was self-generated. I made myself cry. I made myself feel all these other feelings. It was just feelings. But then I took them personally because I thought they were my own feelings. See, the ownership. See how it goes? The ownership, and everything that ever happened in its life, it took it personally and it thought it was happening to it when nothing was happening to it. There was just life going on, but life was not going on to you or for you or about you. Any pronoun you want to use, put that in that
Mm-hmm.
sentence. And it was not that. So you're not that. You're not that you thought you were. You're not that you thought was separate from everybody and everything else. There never was, and there never will be. There never was and never will be a separate you, a separate me, and a separate group of individuals in society that are in agreement. So yeah, there's conjured selves, but they go in groups. They join clubs. They go in groups, and then they
Mm-hmm.
reinforce whatever the idea they agree upon. Let's say a certain belief or certain, what they think they know, and then uh,
Religion.
we can take anything.
Oh,
You can take
okay.
religion.
Yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
anything.
Yeah, the Mormon believes what the Mormon believes and thinks they know, and then the Seventh Day Adventist goes off and does that thing, with their own thing, and then the Protestant, and then all the Catholics, all the other different denominations, and then meanwhile the Catholics saying, "Oh, we have all the truth. We have 90% of the truth." And
So we
then
got locked in our basement.
yeah, well, and then it even spins like this. It gets really crazy. Then you got a guy by the name of Applewhite, and then the Halley's
I've
Comet
never
goes
heard of him.
by, and he said, "You got to, we
Oh,
all have
oh.
to kill ourselves so we can join Jesus. He's up there on that comet right now." Do you remember when that happened,
Yeah.
Applewhite? Well, see,
Yes. Yes.
and then
I was
remember,
actually
you
in.
remember Koresh
I was in
Waco?
rehab. I was
Yeah,
in rehab when that was happening.
that was happening.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then yes, I remember David Koresh.
David
I
Koresh
I was
Waco,
really
Waco. Yeah,
Waco, Texas. Yep.
yeah, but they
I
call it Wacko now. They call it Wacko Texas because it was Wacko. It was whack when he was there.
I find it interesting, this God complex. I
Yeah,
think a lot of people suffer from it. It's
yeah,
trying to identify with something
yeah.
and
Well. See, that's
misidentification.
Yeah, that's self
Huh?
importance. I want to look important. You brought up importance earlier. Yeah. See,
Hmm.
that's that self centeredness. The self conjure self that's so full up its own ass. It could smell what it had. It could smell what it had it digested for dinner last night. That's how far up its ass is.
Yeah.
But so to speak, just using various analogies. Um, you know, people that are so full of themselves, they're a legend in their own minds. That they're so proud, and they think that matters. Jeez. Of course it does not matter. How can you imagine and conjure up such a conjuring? But you see, that's suffering. That's still mental and emotional suffering, to think that. And even the people that suffer from depression, they think they're alone. They're never alone. They're not. They're
Right.
connected. That's that connectivity you're talking about. You may not see it like
Mm.
a chain, like a link in a chain. You may not really see it
Right.
physically, but there is connectivity there. Just like a glass of milk, it's coalesced, it's blended. It's just like being a grain of salt in the ocean. Whoa, that's a little bit too much right there for that analogy. Because man, how much ocean is out there right now? How much ocean on this planet has been explored? Maybe 2%, right? 2 to 3% of the oceans, because it's so vast,
Yeah.
right? So vast, and you try to imagine if you and I were in a little raft in the center of the Pacific right now. You
Hmm.
know how long it would take to try to get to a shore? landmass, we might
I
not,
wouldn't.
we might not survive if we don't have enough provisions in that little raft, and we wouldn't be able to get there. So, see, that's kind of the using that analogy in terms of thinking in terms of distance. Is there really that distance? If I'm on a raft, oh yeah, sure, it apparently appears to be that way, doesn't it? There's still teeming with life, immeasurable life. There's still microbial. We haven't even discussed about microorganisms yet. You know, that's just the planet is just teeming with so much life. It's just absurd how much life
Right.
is on this planet. It's crazy.
You know,
It really is.
when I really thought about, going back to the self-important thing, and it's like,
Yeah.
to think that a human being in this grand cosmos could be anything.
There you go.
I mean, how could you really be anything? I mean, the most powerful person, they could destroy the earth, but then what does that do for the universe? I mean, I don't really know that it wouldn't have some sort of cosmic effect, but still,
but
it doesn't change.
It doesn't change anything. Yeah, what you're saying,
right?
What you're saying, in a sense, is like taking the sunlight. There's plenty of sunlight for all the life on the planet, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Because it's the life giver, isn't it? That's why there used to be sun worshipers, in the past. Here, the history of Earth. The history of Earth, people used to worship the sun because it brought life to the earth. Without the sun, there would not be any life. Yeah. Yep. So
you feel its warmth on your skin and everything.
Well, it provides the photosynthesis for plants. And it produces oxygen so we can breathe, so the body minds can breathe. So there is cohabitation. See how it all is interconnected. So you want to see connectivity? There it is. There's connectivity for you right there. So, and that's going to go on for billions and billions and billions of more years. Nobody knows how long that sun is going to keep lasting. Scientists want to know. Why would you want to know about how long the sun's going to burn until it burns out, when there won't even probably be any generations around left on this planet? And maybe all of the essences of what comprises this group consensus of the human race, we might migrate. All the souls might migrate to another planet, or this planet might even transition into an entirely different part of space, like that thief in the night. You snap your finger, and all of a sudden, you're transitioned, you're changed, and you don't even have memory and recollection of how the planet used to be. The planet will change so fast. That's what they're saying about pole shifts. Now, nobody was really around when it happened, but they do theorize. There it is again. That's the best they can do, theorize that there were pole shifts. There's pole shifts, right? Pole shifts, yeah. And that proof of a pole shift, the last one that happened during the Ice Age and that kind of thing, there were indigenous animals back then, like the mammoths, the woolly mammoths. It still had food in its mouth that it was still chewing. That's how fast that the pole shift allegedly happened. We can only say allegedly because that's the best we can do. We can theorize because nobody was there back there to report it and come back and say, "Oh, correct." Unless there was a time machine. So if you want to entertain that idea about time travel, that's possible. Nobody really knows. No one really knows. That could explain seeing the cell phones in 1930s, 1940s photographs. The future visiting us now. That could also explain a lot of other things in terms of explanation of some kind, where these grays with the almond-shaped eyes, that's the human race from the future coming back and trying to take fetuses, and then because they don't produce, they don't reproduce anymore. They lost their ability to reproduce their own kind. I mean, it just goes on like that. Just craziness, crazy ideas, man. It really is. It's just crazy, man. Oh.
I don't know if it mattered, though. I mean, would it really matter? I mean,
no.
If there was aliens, I mean, it's
of course
not.
Of course not. That's just entertainment.
I was thinking, though, to be fair about this, I was I was outside thinking, well, this is an interesting projection I'm receiving. I see the stars,
Yeah.
I see everything, and I thought, well, what would it be like if an alien ship all of a sudden landed there? I was like, because the box is not. It's either what's in the box. Who knows? Who knows
Yeah.
what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
anything's possible.
Yeah.
So if I try to define something, maybe I'm the stupid one from trying to close it in.
No,
But
there's neither the stupid one and there's neither the very smart one. There's neither. There's neither smart, stupid on any scale. The intellect, the intelligence is insignificant to the grand scheme. If you want to see a grand scheme and everything, if we're going to go in terms of the clockwork of the entire infinite universe, we're discussing things here that just even beyond what science theorizes. Right now, we're just entertaining ideas. There's nothing wrong with that. That's because it's everything entertaining itself through this conversation we're having right now. That's what it's not really happening. It's just what apparently appears to be expressed. So that's what goes on in these satsang, these meetings. We call them satsangs just because they represent anything that may arise, anything that's going to be expressed. It's that and so much more. It's always, it's all of it. So to try to narrow it down and pinpoint it to something significant and specific and something particular, it cannot be narrowed down because nothing is singled out. Nothing stands alone. Everything and no thing inseparably so, not so ad infinitum. Ad infinitum means on and on with no beginning and no end. Alpha and Omega. All of it. So it's okay. You can entertain any kind of idea you want. You talk about science fiction. We can talk about theory, string theory, holographic universe, Matrix. The Matrix 4 movie has yet to be released, and I'm looking forward to it, and I'm going to look at it because it is entertaining.
Yes, it is.
So it's entertaining.
We're here to, and apparently, you might as well enjoy it, I guess.
Well, yeah, there's enjoyment. Enjoyment happens. Yeah, enjoyment happens. Entertainment happens. Yeah.
It's like if everybody's looking for heaven, but what if in a sense, right, or paradise or whatever, right? But what if we're really there? I mean, isn't that what I heard, that we're in a perfect place already? This is paradise. I mean,
let's do that. Let's go ahead and entertain that, William, because
okay.
I'm very familiar with it. Because did I ever tell you that I used to attend Billy Graham crusades?
It seems moderately familiar.
I don't know if I ever told you that, but I
remember.
I did. I had a very, very, very staunch religious auntie Antonia. Oh, she was so religious that she used to tremble, and she always got us to pray. Kneel on the bed, and she swore she was speaking in tongues because she said that she had the.
You said none of that was necessary, right?
I don't think. I don't think it is.
Okay, so I remember that. I was just making sure I remembered correctly.
Well, there is no correctly. There is no correctness, and there is no inaccuracy. There's neither. You're neither wrong and you're neither right. There is no accuracy and there's no inaccuracy. It's fine however you express it. So however you express it, it's going to be expressed. So my auntie, her belief was that strong. See, we got to look at those three of the conjured cell builds for itself, right? The self-identification with itself. It starts learning, and then it starts knowing what it learned, and then it starts believing, and it spins off and goes through a life that it believes it's living on its own. And it believes it's living its own life, and so it just goes off in that tangent. Instead of just whatever arises, let it be that, but don't say it's exclusively that, whatever that is that you're entertaining. That's how we're saying it. It's easier to travel lighter without self-identifying with absolutely anything because nothing stands alone anyway. One without a second. In terms of time, so one without a second means one without the next second, and then one without the next minute. So how many seconds in a minute? 60, right? 60 seconds in a minute. Yeah. See, that's common. That's common knowledge, isn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. See, this is what I'm referring to.
Yes.
There's an agreement. Now we follow the same calendar. Okay. So here's where I'm going with this. There are groups of conjured cells that are in agreement, and then they join these clubs and these groups, and then this apparently appears to be a Zoom room speaking of the same subject that all the other non-duality speakers are speaking. You and I can go and check a recording. It's already recorded. We can go to a live song. We go to a live Zoom. Any of them are going to be speaking about the same thing you and I are speaking. The only exception there is that the terminology can be slightly different. The phrases that are used, the words that are used in the English language, if we're going to refer to the English language. Then we got the Germans over there in Germany with Andreas Mueller. He's kind of like the representative. He's the ambassador to the non-duality Germans over there. In a sense, you could say it like that. So you've got all these different non-duality speakers, which are referred to as neo-Advaitins. Okay, so we have neo-Advaitins. Fine. Now what? There's no meaning to it. There's no end to it. Then what? Then what? So the conjured self is attending. Well, what does this all mean? It has no meaning, reason, or purpose whatsoever. How's that? How's that? No meaning, reason, or purpose for it. Because nothing matters. Remember, there's no mattering that matters because nothing's permanent. There is no physical matter. It only apparently appears to be as though there's physical matter. See, because it psyched itself out. The self-conjured self learned about it, and then it thought it should know it, so it started seeking, and then it wanted to believe in something. Give me something to believe in. There's that song again, see?
Yeah,
so,
give me something to believe in.
Yeah, give me something to believe in. So why do you want anything to believe? Well, you know what my question would be to them, well, why do you want anything to believe in? Do you have to believe in anything? See, it comes back, to not
I keep hearing what? I keep hearing something at the door. Somebody's here. I don't know who it is.
Oh man, Jim Newman with that guy from New Realities. I don't remember his name, but that's like Abbott Costello. Who's on first?
Oh yeah.
It's like
I remember
that. That's why Jim was laughing so hard. It's because it's so funny. Because you see, the conjured self trying to get this. It's trying to figure out non-duality. It can't.
Right.
Good luck with that one. It's all just going to turn out to be some kind of ridiculous thing. Because it's a loop. It seems like it's a loop, a paradox.
Right.
It's like the Russian dolls. You open up one, there's another one in there. You open up next, and it's like infinity. It's like always like that. Infinity, complexification. It's like the fractal, like you said earlier. It's like that. So what are we going to do about it? We can't do anything about that, can we? It's already that way. It's already like that. It's already everything and nothing, inseparably so and not so, always, always. There it is. Now, what are we going to do with that? Nothing. Can't do anything with it because that's where we started out. We started out with nothing. We start out with nothing.
End with nothing.
Yeah, we end with nothing. Is there any ending to anything? See, there isn't. See, that's what's crazy, wacky about this message. Alpha and Omega. Is there any beginning to the Alpha and Omega? No. Is there any ending to it? No. Is there any beginning or end to anything? No. See? You see how it goes now? Now that's how it's going to go. And it's going to go on. It's always been that way. Is it going to go on? Is it going to start now? Or is it going to end maybe in the near future? There is no future and there was no past. There's only whatever arises.
Right now.
Yeah. Well, it appears as a now.
Well, now it's gone.
Well, yeah. Now. Well, see, everything that's arising is appearing as though it's now. And then absolutely everything.
But it's really not, right?
It's both.
There's that gap.
It's both.
Oh. It
is and it's not. It is and it's not. Both. It's not just is and it's not just not. You know, it's both. It is and it's not. It's double negation. It's double negation. Then there's triple negation. So yeah, I know. It's not that. You know, so you can take it as far as just like a fractal. Yeah, the fractal. The fractal keeps going on and on and on and on to infinity and beyond, you know, if you want to call it that. Or infinitudinal complexification. I like to use that phrase a lot. Infinitudinal complexification. Because it's infinitudinally complexifying. It's not a final, it's not a final complexification. It's just constant complexifying. Always. Man, that sounds crazy. And it sounds funny, and it is funny. It's hilarious. To the conjured self that's trying to figure it out, and it's fine. Oh, I'm significant. I'm important, you know. Look at me. I'm terminally unique. Huh?
Right.
You know what I mean? So when we look at the expansive, infinite universe, it's only temporarily appearing finitely. And when I say it's appearing finitely, that's just the temporary nature of what apparently appears to arise. But that's not all there is. There's that which manifests and arises, which is visibly observable, but it won't always
Mm-hmm.
apparently appear to be like that, because then it's going to disappear one day, and it's not going to reflect a reflection in a mirror. It's going to disappear. But where does that
Mm-hmm.
go? Nowhere. Back to nowhere, back to nothing. Yeah. And then nobody really knows if it's going to come back and manifest again. And this is where the idea of reincarnation came in. So it could be. Now, we can entertain this idea. In a religious sense, it says in the New Testament, in my Father's
Mm-hmm.
house, there are many mansions.
Yes.
In my Father's
Now,
house, there are many
okay,
mansions. Now, those many
I'll
mansions,
listen.
those many mansions could actually be the billions of other Earth-like planets other than this one.
Mm-hmm.
It could be. That's what he might have been pointing
Mm-hmm.
to. But it was such a great idea, if it's really like that. And then there were many times that even Christ himself said, if it was not so, then I would not have told you.
Mm-hmm.
You see, he was very Zen as well. But nobody really understood him back then because it wasn't popular opinion. So you see, it's coming back around, isn't it? Who knows? Nobody really knows, but this might be that second coming in that new world that's mentioned in Matthew, in the book of Matthew. It talks about every ear shall hear and every eye shall see.
Yeah. Yeah.
The great planetary awakening. This could be it. This non-dual message, non-duality. This could be it right here. This could actually be it. We could try to pinpoint it, but it seems to correlate. If you really look at it and study it,
It does seem like something's happening in the world. I mean, I
yeah.
I, I know it might sound cuckoo,
Uh,
to some, but
uh,
I really, I tried to think, well, maybe it's just because, because I'm just gonna say it, rather than argue with myself in my head, but maybe it's because Trump being unelected, and maybe I'm making it too simple, or my brain is trying to figure it out. But then Biden, who is a Catholic, and he has religious beliefs, and whether you agree with those beliefs or not, but he
yeah.
still has a sense of a, a different, these
Spirituality,
two different beings.
spirituality.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, he has a spiritualness to him that,
yeah, spiritual nature,
unfortunately,
spiritual
I don't
nature.
think
Yeah,
Trump did.
yeah.
I
Oh
think
no.
Trump, in my opinion, was a
Oh,
was a ego, a
well,
real, a
yeah.
complete ego.
He
I
was
mean, he's
very,
like,
he's very self-centered. All he cared about is himself. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Very.
that's how I seen him. But
Oh,
everybody says, well, if you ever meet him, he's quite the charmer, and it's like, well,
oh
that's
no,
probably
no, no,
true.
no. That's because he's fooling the people that are going to believe that. So no.
Right.
And
But
besides, it's,
anyways,
yeah, yeah.
I was thinking that it just feels. I mean, how do
Yeah.
I know anything? I don't, but it just
But you
feels
don't
like
have
there's a
to.
possibility.
You don't
There's
have to
a
really know it.
possibility.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you think that does it seem like there's a shift? Like, I mean, that's kind of what you're pointing out, is it seems like
Uh,
something's happening.
well, no, I'm just pointing out to what was interpreted. That's the way that
Hmm.
that was interpreted, because revelations cannot be interpreted the same, because a lot of the meanings were lost through transliterations.
Hmm.
Trying to try to keep the essence of a message that was transliterated from one language to another. Some of the meanings don't come across. I'll give you an example of
Hmm.
this, William. Just imagine this: you got a row of 100 people. You tell that first person a sentence, but they're not allowed to write it
Oh,
down. They can only verbally say it. So the
I
first
know.
person
I
says
know.
it to the second person. The second person says that statement. It's just a short, brief sentence.
I
That
get it.
the lazy dog jumped over the how's that? Remember we learned this in school, nursery school. The lazy dog jumped over the brown fox jumped. Yeah, the brown fox jumped over the
I
lazy
don't.
dog. Something like that. Yeah. Or just take any sentence like that, and then you just verbally say it to the second person behind you, and then that person behind
Right.
him is the third person. By the time that sentence is verbally said, it gets to the 100th person. Guess what happened? It's all jarbled. It's
There's
all
no
different.
dog.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, the dog maybe just lying down, or maybe ate a bowl of food. It just turns out to be completely different. So this is kind of what's happened with a lot of these ideas that were entertained. A lot of the literature was written, all these spiritual books, and that kind of thing. So who's to say that somebody came out with the idea that there was these separate writings, and somebody came across them, and the Dead Sea Scrolls, as an example. The other one is the Nag Hammadi, by interpreting that in Aramaic, because they believe that Jesus used to write, scribe in Aramaic.
Oh, did he? I
Yeah,
mean, do they?
yeah. Well, that was the language
He
used
may
to.
have. I don't know.
Yeah, well, Aramaic, they're claiming that the historians, religious historians, I'm talking about the biblioarchaeologists. So, if you do
Right.
so much research and seeking and looking into these things, because again, 9 times out of 10, the Conjured self that's going to be into non-duality is going to be a staunch seeker, but then they're going to recognize that this is the final answer. This is it. There's nothing else to search, nothing else to look for. There's no going back to some other kind of book or some other kind of literature, because it's all roads lead to non-duality. All roads, all paths. It doesn't matter what spiritual path you may have been on. It's going to come back to this: what is and what is not. What's everything and nothing inseparably so and not so. The seeker is the sought. The seeker was the sought all along, but it thought it needed to seek something else other than itself. Now, when I say itself, I'm not referring to the self that it's conjured. It could be construed as a higher self, or the true self, the core self, the Christ consciousness,
Right.
the fourth chakra, which is why biologically, scientifically, you want to go back to resonance and frequencies and that kind of thing. Well, let's look at how much electromagnetic energy is emitted out of the heart compared to the brain. Which do you think is stronger?
Well, we talked about this, so
Yes, we
the
did.
heart.
Yes,
I
that's
know.
right. And in fact, you want to go back to resonance and electromagnetic energy and emissions and things like that. That's no coincidence that the heart of the matter and that the seat of the soul is right here. But it's not seen in a physical way. I'm not saying here in terms of a physical body. There's the heart's pumping the blood and like that. No, I'm referring to
the energy.
Yeah, the energetic movement that's unseen, the force, the energetic movements that are constantly in motion and unseen. It's just like transmissions, radio transmissions that are constantly going out into space, and they keep going and keep going and keep going, like the introduction to Contact, like the movie Contact.
You think that might be true with our where we emit frequency? Do you think it goes on for infinity too? I mean, if somebody could tune in.
That's what I'm simply trying to say. What I'm simply trying to say is that these are energetic movements that will never end. In other words, just because we have cognizance and we think and we believe that we're speaking and all that sort of thing, it's just, manipulating the puppet, so to speak. So here we are, we're tethered, we're connected with the entire infinite universe, but we're temporary, manifesting as a representation humanly corporeal. Or you could say it so many different metaphysical ways. Each units of local qualia consciousness energy forms. Units of local qualia consciousness energy forms. Locally, in a sense, and in space and time, that kind of locality. But it's temporary. It's not entirely permanent. It's not completely so, to where it begins somewhere and then it's going to end someplace else. There is no, remember, you got to get back to it. The Alpha and Omega, there's no beginning, no ending. And some call that God. Some call the divine nature, divine God, divine force, the force, Star Wars, all of these different words that you want to use, English language like that. It still returns to all that is and all that is not. This is and is not. It's always, and that's the unspoken yes. That's the final answer. There's nowhere else to go after that. So once the conjured, there's nowhere to go. Because you start with nothing and you end with nothing. You have nothing to lose.
True.
And there's nothing to gain, nothing
Yep.
to lose. It's a win-win. So everybody wins.
Mhm.
Yeah. No matter what you conjure, no matter what kind of conjure, no matter what despair you are, even the body mind action figures that decide to say, you know what, I'm just going to go into, I'm going to put some blankets, in the garage. I'm going to turn on the
Mhm.
car. Yeah, I'm going to turn on the car, and I'm just going to fall asleep.
No.
Let's see what happens next. Well, they can't come
I'm
back to
pretty sure.
they can't come back to report what happens if there's going to be something that happened, right?
Yeah.
They won't be able to
Yeah.
come back and report that. And even if they could, they wouldn't know how to put it into words. You know why? Because you can't explain nothing. How do you explain nothingness? You can't explain that. Nobody can explain nothingness. It's a mystery. It's unknowable. So we just let it be, don't we? Try not to conjure anything because nothing has to be conjured. Why try? Just like Yoda, don't try, do. Hmm?
Right.
Isn't that something? Hmm? We try.
Yes, little
You don't
Yoda.
try, you just do. Hmm?
All these little truths that have been spewed out.
Little Zens. Those are little Zen statements. Yeah, Zen.
Yeah.
Everything's Zen. Everything, yeah, well, everything and nothing's Zen. There's a song that goes,
So why?
everything's in, everything's in. I don't think so. That's right. You don't think so. Because you can't think so. Because you're not a separate person that's
Hey,
thinking anything.
hey, Richard.
Yeah?
I need a bathroom break real quick.
No, that's okay. Yeah, it's all right.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oops.
10 more minutes, Rabbit, and that's it. Cutting it. 2:30. I'm going to end it. 2:30. I'm going to join you down there. Did you get cookies and did you look at trailers? That's my question to you right now.
Well, I've got cookies, but no trailers.
Oh, you better get your trailers in order. Get your trailers. Get your trailers in order, Rabbit. Fuck. Poppy Rabbit. Such a rabbit. Oh, I love this song. Were you while we were getting high? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. What's the name of this band? The Verve, right? Yeah, The Verve. Champagne Supernova. Brilliant song. It's The Verve, isn't it? Is it Oasis? I thought it was a Verve.
Hello.
Hey, let me ask William. William, do you know who does that song Champagne Supernova?
No. Sorry.
Okay. So I'm listening to the song now. I thought the Verve did that. Now we gotta Google it. Now you gotta Google that. We find out for sure, yeah? I was talking to my missus, Bev.
Yes,
My
figured
wife,
that.
my name is Beverly. Well, you look at my Facebook, you'll see pictures of us. We
Yes.
on vacations.
Yes.
We went last vacation where you see some of our pictures was we went to Sherwood Forest, the famous Robin Hood Forest.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we went over there for just to see one of the oldest trees, one of the oldest oak trees there. It is Oasis.
How old is it?
Oh, it's hundreds of years.
How old is it?
Hundreds of years. I
Oh,
don't remember
damn.
exactly how many, but oak trees can really maybe not as old as the redwoods and some of those other.
I love oak trees too. I like plants.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
I'm right, of course.
She said she asked Alexa because I'm listening to music off the Alexa right now.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Isn't that an interesting device?
She loves it when she says that I'm wrong. When neither matters. See? She's going, loser. You, the Like Jim Carrey, right?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, that was funny.
Oh man, see, I get along so well with my wife. We've been married for nearly 12, 13 years now, and
Nice.
yeah, we have the same kind of sense of humor, and it works, and it's just if you find a partner to live with, and if you're lucky enough, fortunate enough to meet somebody you can get along with. Oh, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's sometimes we have a little bit of disputes, and there's those arguments, things
Oh
like that.
yeah.
But we iron
Yeah.
them out. We compromise because that's the way it is with any relationship with another person. You got to compromise, man. You can't just
Yep.
think and say that you're always right and they're always wrong, or they're always wrong and you're always right. It's neither.
Well,
So you meet halfway and you compromise and you make it
it's
work.
true.
Yeah.
I've
Otherwise,
been in my relationship for 23 years,
well, there you go.
since '97. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
So, yeah,
Tell you
I
what.
know about compromise.
Tell you what.
Ups and downs.
At the bottom of the hour, coming up, I have 2:30. What time you got over there?
Oh,
I'll tell you what it is.
6:20 right now.
6:20. Yeah, I've got the world clocks. I've got all the time zones, world clocks. I'll tell you right now that if I bring it up on the computer, that over there in India right now, it's coming up on 8 p.m.
Huh.
Yeah, 8 p.m. over there.
Oh, it's probably already dark, right?
Yeah, it is dark.
Are they below the equator? I don't know if they're below the equator or not.
No, they're just above. They're just above it.
Oh, okay.
I think they're just above it. That's look at the map. I have the map right here. India is at longitudinal mark between 15 degrees and 30. So I'd say they're about 20 degrees. So just checking to see where the meridian is as far as yeah. There's the equator. The equator goes along northern South America, just northern Brazil. So it goes through northern Brazil, Ecuador, and then we go across to Africa. The equator is right where Kenya is. Kenya, Africa.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Kenya, Africa. And then the Netherlands. The Netherlands is on the equator.
I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah.
I thought the Netherlands was cold. Aren't they cold?
Borneo also.
Huh.
Borneo. Well, it says Netherlands East, and then it says the East Indies. It says New Guinea. Borneo. It says Netherlands East. Well, yeah, I think there's a northern Netherlands as well. Because there's a South Wales, isn't there? Yeah. Northern Brazil, Kenya, Africa, Borneo, New Guinea. That's along the equatorial line, right there. India.
And is the equator? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. What's that?
I was going to say, is the equator considered zero in the? What is the latitude line? I mean, as far as
equatorial, the equator there.
How would you?
It splits the Earth right there in the center.
So it's 160. Would be 160 or
it's a center point. No, it's 0 degrees.
Of a circle? Oh, so it's zero.
Yeah,
okay.
it's zero latitude.
Okay.
Latitude goes from left to right, and longitude goes from north to south.
Oh, I thought.
Yeah, so that's longitude and latitude. Yeah, so it's 0 degrees.
So east and west and north and south, is that kind of the?
Well, as far
Am I
as
wrong?
Well, as far as direction, if we say east, then we're looking towards where the sun apparently appears to be rising, right? Rises from the east and sets in the west, yeah. But we say
that statement is so true.
Well, we say that because it's perspective, isn't it? It's based on popular opinion. There it is again.
Totally.
Calendars maps, things that we all agree on.
Time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
time. We believe in time. We believe that's true
Mhm.
and that's constant, consistent. We also believe
You
in,
know,
huh? Yeah.
I met well, she was my ex-girlfriend,
Yeah.
but when she was straight from Thailand and she didn't speak English when I first met her, so
Yeah.
communication was a very interesting thing.
Uh-huh.
But I forgot my point. Damn it, I got off on a stupid side thought. But anyways, fuck it. Sorry, excuse my language. It just was like, whew.
You know what? It's a good thing you're like that because I'm telling you, you're going to need that
What?
kind of mindset where you go off in tangents like that. That's a good quality to have, and I'll tell you why. You lose your train of thought, right? You lose your train of thought.
Mm,
Well, that's a good thing, and I'll tell
mm,
you why it's a good thing and how it is. You're going to get
mm.
this non-dual message. You're going to get it, and when you do get it, and I'm not talking about William getting it, because William will never get it, and Richard won't get it, and Leonard won't,
Right.
and all the other body minds, conjured cells will not ever get it.
Not able to,
No, they're not able to.
right?
So what I'm trying to
Mm.
say is that what we're not is always going to try to get it, which is the body mind representation of a single entity, a single separate person, that entertains the idea that they're totally unique and they're separate from everybody and everything else. There is no everybody and everything else, and there is no separateness. There is no separation. There is one without a second. So that means that you could even call it oneness. You could say it's kind of like oneness, always,
Your oxygen.
always. Huh? Yeah.
Oh, my mom. You need your oxygen on, mother. Okay, hang on. 1 minute, Richard.
It's all right.
Oh. Put your oxygen back on, Mom.
Well, we have Sunday coming up, right, William?
Sure. Yeah, I'm open.
Can we meet back here at 12 noon, my time? My time, 12 noon. Is that okay? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just putting my mom's oxygen on. I'll be ready. Unless you're ready to close up, that's fine.
Well, yeah. We're going on nearly over 2 hours, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah. See, time flies when we get into conversations like this. So yeah.
Right.
Time seems to fly. It's like reading a good book, or so to speak, I guess you could say. But yeah,
right.
we'll pick up and come up with some more information to share this Sunday. I realize it's real early for you at 4 a.m., so I hope that's not a problem.
No, I usually wake up.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I don't know why, but
that's all right. That's okay. So if it's not,
it works out.
If it's not interrupting your routine, that's what I want to be sure. I'm not interrupting your routine.
Oh yeah, no, my schedule's pretty good.
Good, that's good.
Just,
you know what?
Yeah.
I could go so far as saying it's meant to be then, But anyway, the way that things are going so far, everything seems to be working out all right. So there might be a day might happen, it might not, but there could be a time when this room begins to grow and we get more participants, and if that happens, then you can still, in a sense, can say you were the very first, of our neo-advitans. You could say you can call yourself a neo-advitant.
I could say.
Yeah.
I could tell them I was here first.
There. Well, yeah, you could say it like that. Or you could say, yeah, I was one of the very first ones that collapsed in this room. I just collapsed. And I fell over and I died. Yeah, I collapsed. William Lockwood collapsed. He fell down. He died. I couldn't pick him up because there was no life in him anymore. I was like, come on, wake up, William. No, he died.
Yeah.
Okay. So but that could be seen as a good thing. It could be, because then you'll be able to talk this way, to say all there is everything and nothing, is separately so, not so, and then that will begin to, in a sense, make sense. But it won't make sense. It will never make sense to William, and it won't never make sense to Richard or Leonard or any of the other conscious selves. It will not make sense to them. Huh. But anyway, I'll leave you with that, and we'll pick up Sunday. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Richard. It's good talking to you.
You're very welcome. Very welcome, William. I'll see you Sunday. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll see you Sunday. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.